Seriously, it's been a while since the game has made me want to rage this bad. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Wolfpack. We're back again at these monthly wrap-up videos. If you are new to the channel, once in a while I try to do this at the end of every month, where I talk about all the games that I played that month. If I skip a month or two, it's most likely because I didn't get much played during that time, and I actually haven't had one of these monthly wrap-ups since like December. So it's been a minute. So right now, I'm actually just going to have a summary between February and March because these are when I got the most games played. On top of that, I don't always do a full review on every game that I play. Sometimes I'll do a lot of these short little mini reviews. So if you ever want to hear my thoughts about these quick little games, then this series is the best time to hear my thoughts on those. Okay, so the first game that I started off with in February was Foundations of Rome. Now this one took me a while to table because when I flipped through the rulebook initially, there are a lot of little modules, but then I realized that the gameplay itself is really simple and it's very straightforward. However, it continues to hit our table because it just has beautiful table presence and everyone loves having their individual player trays. And on top of that, like the big cherry on top is that the gameplay is so much fun. Reason why is because your turns are very simple. You either get money, or you take that money to buy some lots, and then once you have enough lots, then you build. It's a very, very satisfying entry point game, and it's one game that I'm also trying to be wary about because if you introduce it to new gamers, they might get a little spoiled and think that all games are going to be looking like that. So I try to preserve it as much as I can, but it's a really fun game and I've continued to absolutely enjoy it. I've also played through a lot of the modules too. The only module that I haven't really played through yet is the Monuments expansion, but I'll go ahead and link that full review here if you want to hear my thoughts on that one. Foundations of Rome, first game played in February. And then we move on to House of Fadu, I think if I'm saying that correctly. Oh my god, this one, it's been a while since I played a really like short snippet, good Euro game. And I really love it because the theme is so different and unique compared to a lot of the other games in my collection. So in this game, how it works is you ultimately are trying to hire the best musicians. And what's cool, what I think is really, really fun about this game is that there are a lot of spots that you can go to because it's a worker placement game. But then in these different locations, you can hire different musicians, you can promote them and level them up. And then as they are promoted and become more well-known, then they also become harder to access. It's a very clever game. I'm not surprised coming from, a Lacerda game like this, but I think the way the theme integrates with the gameplay, so seamless, very straightforward, and it is a lighter game in the Lacerda titles, so I absolutely love this one. It's not just with Lacerda though, it's also designed by João Quintela Martins, and this is one game that I will 100% be doing a full review on once we get like 2 more plays through. I've only played it once at 4 players, but I definitely want to get this played again a couple more times. And then we get to probably my least favorite game played in the past 2 months, and it was an expansion. So heartbreaking, but it was Thunder Road Vendetta, the Carnival of Chaos expansion. Thunder Road, still one of my top games, but that expansion completely changes how the game works. And I feel like it was catered to those that didn't want that randomization and that chaos because it becomes more of a really slow paced Euro game. And I did not like the expansion at all. We played it once and I'm like, I don't want to play this again, which is really sad. So conceptually, it sounds awesome. In Thunder Road Vendetta, the base game, you're constantly moving forward. And that's why the pacing feels really fast and chaotic because you're crashing into each other as you're racing to get across the finish line. However, in the Carnival of Chaos, now everyone is going to be converging into the middle section. Conceptually, that sounds freaking awesome because it's like, oh wow, this would be cool. Like everyone's just be crashing each other. We're all gonna be in one spot. We're gonna be turning and doing all these crazy things now and going in a circle. It sounds fun. Everything about it sounds amazing until you play it and then you realize that a lot of the turning mechanisms and the edge cases, there are so many of them to the point where it slows down the gameplay a ton. I don't know if it's because we played with 4 players and maybe I do want to try it with 2 players later on, but Thunder Road Vendetta is a game that I just like with more players in general. So I don't see myself playing at 2 players with that center board. But man, it just really changed. Like, it doesn't even feel like the same game anymore. What I did like about it though was that there are these little party favors that kind of boost your abilities and give you nice little fun surprises and are usually good. And I also really liked how there are these pillars at the center of the carnival that will like pop up and then they'll like blow up your car. And it's all conducted by, one conductor, which is like an AI deck where you open a card and it'll tell you, okay, pillars out, new things pop up. I thought that part was fun, but the whole turning mechanism, like no one ever died. And it was just so slow. So I don't see myself trying this one again. And sadly, I was pretty disappointing to try out the expansion. Now, from there, we move on to the next game. I got some more Harvest played. I've been talking a lot about that one. So you can check out my full review on that one as well. And then afterwards, we got to play Aquatica Coral Reefs twice at 2 players. Coral Reefs, I think, is a ton more fun than the Cold Waters expansion. I think the Cold Waters expansion, I only used the new character cards and the new location cards. I didn't really care too much about the actual tribes themselves because it just seemed like it slowed down the gameplay a ton too, which now you can see like the trend here is I don't really like gameplay that slows down from an expansion. If you already have expectations set from a base game at how wonderful the pacing is for a game and how quick it is, maybe like how it just ramps up. If you already have that premise to begin with, why design an expansion that slows down the gameplay? So I think that's kind of like my mentality for that. And the Cold Waters expansion was one that slowed down the gameplay a ton for the base game, so I didn't really add it. I still liked a lot of the character cards and the locations too, but Coral Reefs really adds a fun new dynamic that slows down the gameplay in the right way. And I'm gonna, again, also play this game a little more to give you my full comprehensive thoughts about it, but I really enjoyed that each location now matters where you put them on your player board, because initially when you put a location card into your player board, like that's it. It'll trigger off these chain events, which are really fun. But now there are these little corals that you can put on top of your location to activate a unique effect. And I absolutely love that because now where you put your corals matters. And I absolutely love that. Now I did hear Aquatica is coming out with a dual version, a 2-player version, which I am so stoked for. However, I do hope that they end the expansions here because I think it's perfect as it is. Like it doesn't need any more than this 3rd one. If it finishes off with this 3rd one here, we're set. So moving on from there, I also got to play Critter Kitchen for the very first time, at least here, like spending some more time with it at home instead of at the retreat like last time. So it's been a while since we played it at like a smaller play count. I've played it at 7 now, and I've played it at 4, and I played it at 3. So I've also have been adding in these modules, which are carts to Critter Kitchen. They do expand the gameplay a bit, and I think they're a lot of fun because the theme behind them makes it fun, like gelato and pies. And we also played with dumplings. So each little tidbit adds in a fun little unique mechanic to Critter Kitchen. If you don't know what Critter Kitchen is, it's basically a game where you have 3 chefs and your goal is to have the best restaurant. So to do so, you're gonna send out your chefs to different locations on this really long map. It takes up this entire Rascal's table. So it's a hidden movement / worker placement game where you have cards in your hand and you're gonna be hiding them on your board, and then everyone reveals them at the same time. That right there is probably the best part about Critter Kitchen, is that this secret reveal allows for simultaneous play. So you can play this for up to 7 players and everyone's doing stuff at the same time, which makes it highly interactive, and there's like little to no downtime. The only downtime is when you're scoring, really. So on your turn, you play 3 cards and then you all reveal them at the same time, and then you send off your chefs to different spots. But the cool thing is that each chef has a unique speed. So like the biggest chef will be the slowest one and the smallest one will be the fastest one. And the complete opposite happens where they can also carry opposite amounts. So like the small chef can only carry 1 thing, but it's also the fastest one. And then the biggest chef, the boar chef, can also carry the most amount of things, even though it's the largest chef. With that in mind, I think the fun comes in trying to figure out where everyone else is going so you can scavenge for your ingredients. And ultimately, when you get all these ingredients, they're numbered from 1 through 7. So the higher the number, the more valuable that ingredient becomes. And then you turn in these ingredients to these recipes at the end of a couple of days into the game. And with a total of 7 days, all the ingredients that you collected and have turned into recipes, they turn into points, which ultimately most points wins. And at the very, very end, you turn in your critic meal. You turn this into the critter chef, which ultimately is different every single time. And I think the most unique parts about Critter Kitchen is that there is so much modularity. You can change the locations, you can change the sous chefs that you get, you can change the types of recipes. There's so much endless gameplay in Critter Kitchen. That's why I've been loving it so much. Now from there, we got to play a 2-player, well, it's only 2-player count actually, but we got to play Scales of Fate. Now I love this one. Scales of Fate, if you're not backing on Kickstarter, definitely check it out. I actually am backing the metal version. It's so nice and it's so fun. I think it's one of my favorite titles from Ivy Studios so far. I played this with Bonds twice and I absolutely loved it. And you can check out our preview over here too if you want to see how that works out. But in this game, you ultimately are trying to do some social deduction, but at 2 players. What I really loved the most about this game is that you have a choice between keeping your gods on the same number and moving them up slowly, or sending them across opposite paths. And if you play this right, it's very difficult to actually figure out what your opponent has. Bonds was having a very hard time trying to figure out what I had until the very, very, very end, unfortunately, or I would have won that one, would have taken that victory. But I figured out what Bonds was within like the first turn that she took. Or let me rephrase, she doesn't like social deduction. Ergo, she claims she's not as good as him. I don't know if it's just that or like, you know, because like we're friends and I know her. I know how she's gonna play. But either way, it's a really fun game. And if you like push and pull type games where you're really on your feet and you have to be mobile and you also have to be deceptive too, definitely check out Scales of Fate because it's such a good 2-player game. Y'all, I'm gonna say this disclaimer every single time because if I don't, there's always gonna be someone out there saying this is not your favorite game anymore. My favorite game played, aside from Drama's Edge, of course, was Storm Raiders. I really, really love this game. It honestly felt like Twister's the second remake movie in board game form, where you're ultimately a Storm Raider. And it has this Mad Max feel where you're out in a desert storm. There is this tornado that is whirling around the map. You're trying to avoid it. And as you're trying to avoid it, you're trying to scavenge for different resources on the map. It is so much fun, a lot lighter than it looks. But I love how you have to balance the types of vehicles that you're using because you have 3 vehicles at your disposal. You got a submarine, you got an airplane, and you have ultimately a motorcycle. They call it something else in the game, but that's what it is. And just like in Critter Kitchen, they all have different speeds and different things that they can carry. And everyone also starts off with a different vehicle as well, which makes it really fun. It's ultimately a set collection game. So you go around, you collect all these kinds of pieces, and then you turn them in. I love it because the theme is so badass. The video idea that I have for this one would be absolutely amazing. It would be extremely expensive, but if I can somehow scavenge enough and figure out this video for fun, it would be absolutely insane. And I think from one play of 4 players, what I love the most about Storm Raiders is that you have a lot of flexibility in deciding how you want to operate your vehicle and where you want to go. I also love that you're not limited fully by movement because the vehicles that you're choosing to use to scavenge for resources, they all have to travel differently. So like the motorcycle can travel really fast across the desert, but it can't go across water. You can also teleport between places by using the submarine, and some places require you to use an airplane to get from one destination to the next destination. Adding this all in together, along with some set collection and some pick up and deliver, it actually is a really fun game with a completely different theme that I absolutely love. I also love about games like the amount of themes that you can explore in board games are just so endless. So when a new game comes like this and it has a theme that's different from my collection and it plays well and it looks beautiful on the table, I just can't stop talking about it and like recommending it to everyone. So from there, I had 2 more games played. The next one that I had was Terrascape. And it was my first time introducing Terrascape to my group of friends. Shout out to you, Dennis. I've been wanting to introduce Dennis to this one of my friends that comes over board games all the time. Absolutely love this one, but it was a very, very stressful game for sure. And I didn't realize how stressful it is until I'm kind of like watching on the sidelines because like I'm so used to the game now. So I've played as the murderer, I played as the victim, I played cooperatively and I played semi-cooperatively. And I think it doesn't diminish the gameplay, but now I'm used to it, right? So because I'm used to it, I kind of forget what it's like to experience the game for the first time. Just like watching a movie for the first time, right? It doesn't mean that the movie gets worse. It's just that you've seen it, you've had that first watch impression. And that's what I feel like for Terrascape. So we played like 3 or 4 rounds of Terrascape, semi-co-op, co-op, and with the villains, it's one of the few games I really regret not backing all in because I really wanted a ton of the villains. Like we played through the 3 murders already, which were the Banshee. I think the Banshee is like the hardest to play because you have to really focus a lot about the fear. You also played as the Butcher, who I always introduce to new players because he's really easy to navigate. You're ultimately bashing through doors. And actually, let me rewind. If you're unfamiliar with Terrascape, how this game works is there is one person who is going to be the killer. Everyone else on the other side of this giant mansion screen are the survivors. Now, the survivors can work together in a cooperative mode, and they ultimately are trying to escape the house by finding the 5 keys or by fixing the radio and then waiting for the cops to arrive. As the killer, you only need to kill one of these survivors. Unless they're playing semi-co-op, then you need to kill 2 because they're not on the same team. I think one of the best things about Terrascape is that I love that the villain, the murderer, always levels up the longer that the survivor takes. And I love this ramp up that the game takes. And it's cool because as the killer gets stronger, so do the survivors. Ultimately, not in power, but in so that they're trying to meet their end game condition a lot quicker, right? So the longer they take, the more keys they find and the more repairs that they do. But then, opposite to that, the villains will also get stronger as well. So there's this really beautiful balance and dynamic that's happening in Terrascape. And it's like the ultimate horror game. It's one of my favorite horror games, if not my favorite horror survivor game of all time. I want all the villains because we played as a Banshee, and the Banshee, like, they're so different from each other. The Banshee focuses about fear, and when you get fear as a survivor, then the killer knows where you are. There's also the Butcher, who just like bashes through doors and becomes extremely violent and just brings a chainsaw and revs it and finds everybody and starts like hacking their arms apart. And that's not part of the game. I'm just making that up. It's more fun and dramatic to introduce that to players. And then lastly, there is this like rogue type character where they will go into stealth, and the survivors will always know where the killers are. With the rogue character, you do not know where he's gonna pop up, and that's what makes it fun. But when he pops up, if he does and he gets the right spot, kind of has like that Battleship mechanic where if you find the right spot, it's game over because he's gonna stab you and then you're automatically just damaged. And then if you get damaged twice, then you're dead in the game. So that one's a really fun character too. But I just think the Banshee is the hardest to play out of those 3. And I want to try out a lot more of the new villains. Okay, now, in the beginning, I said that there was a game that made me rage. That game was Andromeda's Edge. I know, okay? My favorite game. However, my wife and I used to play Dwellings of Eldervale a lot at 2-player. And it's been quite a while since we've tried that since Andromeda's Edge popped up, and we usually play it at 3 to 4 players. We haven't played it too much at 2 players. So she started winning in Andromeda's Edge. And mind you, my wife beats me in every single game possible. The only games that she has not beaten me in, really, is Aquatica and Andromeda's Edge, okay? If out of my 115 game collection, she beats me in 113, okay? So just let me have 2, honey. Just let me have 2. So we got to play Andromeda's Edge one night with a couple of our friends, and that 4-player game, she beat us in. I was left unsatisfied because, well, it's nothing to do with my gaming group. They're the best people ever. But I think just in general, I just want to play Andromeda's Edge where I don't have to teach it for once. And that's why I keep introducing it to all my game groups so that way they get used to it. Because every time I'm playing it, I'm always teaching something. So after everyone left, my wife offered to play it again because she won. So that just went downhill from there. Or uphill. It's a little bit of both, and you'll see why, okay? Reason why is because we played again at 2 players, and it was such a fast game, like 35 minutes, okay? It was like a 35-minute game. I got absolutely destroyed. So then now things get real serious because I didn't only just lose in 4-player, I lost at 2-player when it was just me and her where I don't have to teach anything. So I don't have any excuses anymore. Next up, I play as the Plutonian Empire. And mind you, I think the Plutonian Empire is not only one of my favorite factions to play, but it's also one of the strongest factions because there's a little clock that goes down and it ticks every single turn. It could be 1 to 2 ticks, but once it reaches midnight, then you get to go up any track 3 times. It is an extremely powerful ability. It's not OP. You just have to figure out how to use it. But I absolutely love using them, and I feel like I'm really good with them because I know how to like maneuver with them a little bit. And I got destroyed again. and I don't understand why. And I don't remember who she played. She played as like the Nebulon cloud people that are just drifting in the nebula. And I'm like, how is this nuclear plutonium blow up type faction me that I'm playing? Like, I'm so good with them. How am I losing to these cloud drifters over here? So then we played again, and it was like 2 in the morning. I'm like, no, we need to run this back because this is not happening. And I don't remember who I played anymore because I just blacked out because I lost again. So those are 3 games in a row. In the morning, and this never happens, but and in the morning, because she is on a high for winning again, she asked to play. And I never, ever say no when pretty much anyone asks me to play games. I usually never say no. But especially for my wife too, because she's always like super busy. So when she asks to play games, I'm playing. So she asks to play Andromeda's Edge again. And I got a random, like we played officially by the rules, right? So we pulled 3 different factions and we chose one. In those 3, I pulled the Wolf Guardian Howlers. So of course, when I saw them, I'm like, I better win with this one. There's no excuse anymore. I've already lost 3 in a row. I better win this one because I'm playing as the best faction in the entire game. I'm playing with my favorite faction in the entire game. There's no reason for me to lose. We get to the table. I'm playing my heart out and I'm like developing. I am going up these tracks by discarding moons. Oh, it's going crazy. And I'm like in the lead already. So I'm feeling pretty confident. And there's about a 10-point difference. I'm also getting vault bonus scoring right there. And then all of a sudden, I start going down because we played as we used the deck of cards, the hostile deck, where there are bad events happening, the chaotic deck, the one where like there's nothing good that's happening from there. And I kid you not, there were so many raiders that popped out onto the board. And me being irresponsible, I only built transports. And I never do that. I usually build heavy cruisers, but the Wolf Guardian Howlers do really well when you build out Fang. And when you get a lot of Fangs, a lot of Fang ships, then you can get a point every time you go to a planet. So I was hyping that up. And of course, when raiders come out, well, Fang isn't a very strong ship to be fighting with. So all of these raiders pop up. I think I had the Ancient Brain, I had the Hive, and then the card that summons 4 raiders at once and the UFO all at once, like whatever that card was, is so crazy, pops up and there are all these raiders. And of course, Jackie has an entire army set. I only have Fang, and then I just get absolutely destroyed from raiders and from her. And then I lost. And it was the closest game ever. It was like 5 points. And mind you, even though I lost every single one of these games, I had so much fun. So yes, Andromeda's Edge made me rage. Yes, I lost every single time, but I just feel like that's a true testament to a game when you can still enjoy how much you lose. Because I lost so much and still want to play it. I'm so unsatisfied right now about how much I lost. But yeah, anyways, I think that's why Andromeda's Edge continues to take number 1 for me. Yeah, I don't see it moving anytime soon, but it's a game that you'll be hearing probably at least once a month, if not more, because it's a game that I try to play every single month because there's no other game that just feels that satisfaction that I crave, you know? So with that said, thank you all so much for hanging out with me on my little rant about all the games that we've played for the past 2 months. I think April will be a good month for gaming. It seems to be pretty quiet for work, which is, it's always good and bad, you know? Bad because, well, work is always a good thing, right? But good because then I also have more time to play games and make more fun videos on the channel. A little bit of balance, and you know, it's good either way. But with that said, thank you all so much for watching today's monthly wrap-up video. I hope you all have had a ton of fun gaming recently. At the time this video goes live, I'm actually traveling right now. So if I manage to make a video out of that, I'll definitely share that here on YouTube. But with that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.